Hey everyone, this is Disc Junkie, and welcome back to Secondhand Sickness. So today I'm actually not hitting the flea markets or the car boot sales. I've actually been stopping off at a local yard sale. This was really cool. I just inserted some footage of this in the intro that you just saw, but I didn't film too much at this yard sale because it wasn't all that big, but there were a lot of really bizarre items there. And I ended up with some really unexpected finds, which I'm super stoked about. So we are going to head on over to the reviewing table and we are going to check out what I found. Hopefully you think it's pretty cool. And so we are just going to jump right into today's video, and I'm actually going to start off by showing you something that is quite small, and it is actually something that I almost didn't notice because it was just sitting on a shelf and it wasn't really something that stood out to me, but I'm really glad that I spotted this, and it is actually a very vintage looking little metal no smoking sign. I have no idea about the origin of this, but you know, judging from the design and the overall look, you know, this could be anything from like something that's been in a restaurant, cafe, maybe on a train. I really have no idea, but it is very, very solid metal. I couldn't bend this by hand even if I wanted to. And yeah, very nice little detail, looks very vintage. So I'm not really sure what I'll be doing with this, but this definitely wasn't expensive at all. I think I paid maybe €1, €2, thereabouts. And I'm thinking maybe adding this to the cage over in the entrance area to the man cave. And if not, maybe just mounting it on a sign, because I really don't want people smoking in my man cave because, well, you don't really want that smell in here. So either way, pretty cool find. So I'm very happy about this. That is definitely a good starting point. And once again, like I've done in some of my previous videos, you'll notice that quite a bit of distance to the table today, and that is because we have some really big items that we are going to take a look at, which means that I really have to have this space to be able to show you what I got. And the biggest item I'm actually saving for last. So before that, we're going to take a look at a couple of items which are actually identical, or well, almost identical. And that is this set of genuine sort of studio lights, which I'm guessing would be from the theater or maybe the movie type department industry. I really don't know. But the thing is that this guy who was having the yard sale, we know a little bit about him, that he essentially has done quite a bit of work in the theater department, like in the theater industry here in Sweden. So we're guessing that most of the stuff that was in this yard sale is stuff that would be from that type of environment or that type of work. So this definitely seems to match with this type of stuff. You essentially have these studio lights which would be hanging from the ceiling. You can see that these are essentially ceiling mounted with these typical metal brackets. I'm guessing there would be like a colored light here in the front. You can see that you actually have a little clasp here which you can, you know, move up, and then you would be able to slide down some sort of lens essentially. So presumably a colored lens, you can get different type of colors if you want to use this just basically like a ceiling spotlight in case you want to highlight something. But you can tell that there is actually a light in there. I don't know if it's the original light, but I think it is. And I can also confirm that these do actually work. They are quite similar in their design. They're not 100% identical, but they are generally quite similar, as you can see. And so pretty much the same style on this. I'm not really sure about the voltage on the actual lights, but you know, they're both using the typical sort of European standard as far as the light sort of connector goes. So we can actually go right ahead and actually just connect this in case you want to see. So there you can see that we actually have a lighting source. So that's actually an LED light. It's pretty bright, works pretty well. And the same goes for the other one. There's, you know, not really sort of a big deal or big difference in terms of these, but just to show you, we can actually plug in the second one so you can see that this actually lights up as well. So this was definitely a pretty good find. I essentially paid 30 Swedish crowns per lamp, so that's 60 for the pair, which is essentially €6, which, I mean, for a pair of studio lights like this, I know they're old and, you know, they're not perfect, but I really like this kind of stuff, and I think it would actually fit quite well if I want to mount these to my man cave somewhere, because they feel very sort of fitting to a man cave, I think, or especially my man cave in short, I guess. So I was really happy about these, and like I said, not a whole lot of money spent, just 60 for this and maybe 10 or 20 Swedish crowns for the little sign. But this is not all I have today, and now I'm actually going to have to move these a bit out of frame, because the next item is so big that I don't even know if I'll be able to display this, so we'll see. And this is also the coolest item of the day. This was very unexpected, not something I thought I would be lucky enough to pick up, but I walked into this place, started rummaging around. I actually didn't see this at first because these were laying very dusty under like a, you know, just not really on display, so to speak. But cleaned them up and now they're looking pretty good. And this is an authentic, real live Swedish stop sign from a street light. Jesus Christ, this is actually heavy. And like I said, it looks also quite huge. But here you can see, hopefully you can get an idea of what this looks like or the size of it. But yeah, it is essentially a very classic and authentic looking street light for a crosswalk. This is essentially the typical crosswalk signs that we will have in Sweden. I know that in America and some other countries you will have something like this, but also you would have an adjacent sign which would say like walk and don't walk, but we don't really have those kind of lighting signs here. We just have the classic icons with the green and the red figure. So just for fun, I can actually tell you that to be able to move this around a bit more simply, these little covers here, these are actually removable. These are actually plastic, which I didn't know as far as looking at them, looking at like the classic street signs you have outside. I mean, I've seen many of these in traffic because these are things that, you know, essentially they haven't really changed much over the years, but I wasn't really aware that these were made of plastic, you know, these little frames. So these are actually, they come loose quite easily. They have these bolts on the side. So I'm actually going to remove these now, and this is simply because it makes this a bit more simple to handle when I'm moving it around on the table. But like I said, this is quite easy to do. I have loosened the bolts now because this is actually fastened with bolts, but if you loosen them, it is quite easily to take these out. So I'm actually going to take these and just remove them for the time being, so we can get a slightly better look at this. You can see that this is quite large, but I'm actually fitting it all in frame almost exactly. But this is essentially the whole thing. So hopefully you can see it now. Now I am super stoked about this because this is such a rare find. And I mean, this is not something that you're gonna find for sale in stores, definitely. And even finding it at a car boot sale or a flea market or yard sale, whatever, is extremely unusual. I mean, this is not really meant for home decor or any kind of home use. This is an industrial traffic light that you will see at crosswalks. It's not something that people are going to have in their home, and if they do, it is definitely one of those items which I would imagine, you know, it's a pretty cool, fine, you know, sort of interior design item. I think there are, you know, a bunch of people who would love having this in their home as a curiosity. But if you're going to purchase something like this, I think you would have to pay quite a bit of money if you find it, because it's not really a common item. That's just all I'm going to say. But he actually had a couple of these, and I spotted this, and like I said, it was really, really dirty, a lot of dust on it. I didn't really know anything about if it worked or not, or if it had any wires or lights or whatever. But I cleaned it up, I got it home, and now got it on my table. So I thought we would actually take a look just to get a little bit of detail on this. Now, like I said, this is quite heavy, and it is essentially all metal when you're, you know, removing the plastic pieces that I just removed. The rest of it is actually all metal. You can see it's a very solid metal construct. It is at its heaviest here at the base, because there it actually has something, not sure if you can make out. You can see that it actually has this very, very solid base to it. There's essentially a hole there. So this is meant to go on your typical sort of classic metal pole that you will have for street signs and whatnot. So that is why this base is so incredibly heavy and so solid. But my thought about this is that, you know, I would definitely like to make this into a functional lamp that I can have in the house, just as a curiosity. I mean, it doesn't really give off too much light, I would imagine, but generally I just think it would be really cool to be able to use this as the actual light that lights up, that you can actually, you know, do stuff with or have as a home decor sort of interior detail. And now there's a lot of sort of old metal and sort of dirt coming off of this, but I did clean it out quite well. And I've actually looked a bit inside, because when I got this, there wasn't really any sort of electronics, or, you know, there wasn't really any wires coming out of it. It's not like this is something that he had prepared that you could plug in. But I actually opened this up, and I thought I would do this because it's actually quite easy. You can see that you have right here is a simple little twisting knob. Basically have the same on both sides, but if you open it on this side like so, you actually have this little hatch here you can open up, and here you can also see, trying to give you a good look, just move it over here. There we go. Now you can see the interior. Here you can see the man, and they have essentially painted this sort of wide out color to cover up everything aside from this little classic man who is crossing the crosswalk. So this means that when you're shining a light through this, you're just going to get light coming through the actual silhouette of the figure. Everything else is sort of blocked out by this white color. So I was really surprised, because I did not expect this to have what you see here, which is a classic sort of indoor household light bulb. This is not anything sort of crazy industrial. This is just a regular light bulb. It is a 70 watt, and wow, I didn't even notice it. This is actually hilarious. I looked at this light before when I was cleaning it, but I didn't really pay attention. I just looked at it and noticed that it is a 70 watt light. But, you know, I was considering thinking like, I'm wondering if this is original lights or if they replaced these, because I didn't even think that you were going to have regular light bulbs in this type of environment, because I figured, you know, it's got to be industrial, got to be something bizarre with all kind of electronics and stuff that you really imagine. So I just thought that this looked too simple. And so I thought maybe this is something they have modified themselves, like this guy who owned it before. Maybe this is something that someone modified to be able to use it indoors. But now that I'm actually doing this review, I started looking at it more closely. If I hold this up, you'll notice that right there, it actually says traffic sign. So this is clearly a bulb which was made specifically for a traffic sign. I have never seen anything like this before. It says traffic sign with a K, but that is because the traffic is spelled with a K in Swedish, so just in case there's a confusion there. So I'm guessing traffic sign in this case would be short for traffic signal, which is a more common Swedish word. I don't think you would say traffic sign with a K. It doesn't really make sense, but yeah, probably short for traffic signal. But that is awesome. So that means that this is actually an original light. I didn't even realize. And that also confirms that this hasn't been modified, which is really cool. Or well, sort of confirmed. Now, what I wanted to show you inside this thing is just generally showing you the mechanics. So if you pull this little metal thing here to the side, you can actually take out this interior little metallic thing, which is just there to reflect the light. And then you can see that inside there isn't really a whole lot of stuff going on. You essentially have your classical wires, which are blue and brown and black. And the blue and brown is basically just a plus and a minus. I'm not sorry if I'm not using the typical sort of electrician's lingo, but yeah, basically just like the plus and minus. And then you will also have one for the ground, which you can also, maybe not visible at this angle, but it is there. So this is very much typical for your household wiring. So I felt like this is pretty simple, because this is really all it is. Looking at the same connection over here, these blue and brown are basically just going to a similar sort of socket for the bulb as this one. And then you have a blue and a black, but the black and brown are essentially the same. So this brown is going to this lamp up here, and this black is going to this lamp down here, but it's the same type of wire. So I guess that's the I don't know if that's the plus or the minus, but yeah, you basically have 2 blue and then you have 1 black and 1 brown, which are the same type of wire. So with this said, I felt like, well, this is simple enough. I can actually wire this to your classic household wire. So that's what I did. I actually ran this just straight through the hole here, and then I added this indoors classic grounded connector. So I just thought it would be fun to show you what this looks like. And I would like to say that I haven't really had time to do any sort of, I haven't really finished up this project. That's basically what I'm going to say. And the thing is that I am essentially planning to connect both of these. Right now I have only connected one of the lights. I've only connected the bottom one, which is the green one. And I would definitely like to run wires to both of these. And the plan is that I'm going to run 2 wires like these. So I will have 2 wires coming out of the lamp, where I would essentially run one of these wires to the green and an identical wire to the red. And then I will essentially be able to plug these into the wall socket and just choose if I want the green one or the red one, or just both at the same time if I want to light it up like that. I'm also thinking that I will probably add some sort of switch to them, because there's no switch on them now. But in any case, I'm rounding on here, and I just wanted to go ahead and show you a little bit of the light up so you can see that I'm not just making this up, that this does actually work. So here's just plugging in one of the cables that I have. You can see this light up. There we go. So this was, like I said, I'm no electrician here, but this was really simple. This is just, no stranger than just, connecting your typical household lamp. So I am really happy with this. This is so cool, and I think it actually came out very, very nicely when I cleaned it up. I mean, obviously it's still gonna have like the scuff marks and all that, but I mean, the plastic shells here with the light, that is all in one place. Most of the screws and the knobs are here. There's one missing on this side, but this is easily replaceable. I'm sure I can find the knob, like that's one of those little twisty things. But aside from that, it is actually in surprisingly good shape. You can see that you do have some metal scuffs and stuff, but I mean, overall, this is not bad shape. There's no cracks, there's nothing like that. And I mean, it's a street light, so if it looks a bit rough, it doesn't really matter. I love the look of this, and I'm feeling so excited about actually hanging this, at some, oh God, sorry. It is really, really heavy to move around. I'm feeling really happy about this, and I will be really excited to hang this in the man cave at some point. But right now, I'm gonna essentially buy some new wires for this, and then I am essentially just going to connect it, like I said. And so maybe we will return to this project. I will definitely be loving to show this off in the man cave once I've hooked it up to something. But for the time being, this is essentially what it looks like. So that is essentially it for this video. I'm sorry that I can't really fit anything more in frame, but just to summarize, I got the traffic light, which I haven't really talked about the price on. Oh my God. I got this street sign, the street light, whatever you want to call it, crosswalk sign, for 75 Swedish crowns. That is 7 or 8 euro. That is insane. I mean, I would have expected this to go for at least like 50 euro. I think I could probably resell this at 50 euro or more if I wanted to. So I'm super stoked about this. Such a good deal, and so happy that I got this. Then I got the classic studio lights on the side. These cost me 60 for the pair. And then of course I got the little no smoking sign, which I also mentioned. But that is essentially it. So I'm not really sure how I'm gonna display this in any way. I'll just place that there. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, hope to see you all next time.